Hey again, everybody. This is Brandon Salo at brandonsalo.com, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about teaching business English as a second language. As you may know, business English in a foreign setting is starting to become more and more popular. And if you've been in this industry or if you've been researching materials for teaching business English, you probably have came across a lot of textbooks that talk about business terms, strategy, marketing, and in some cases those can be really good. However, the problem that I find with those books is that one, they tend to be boring for the students, and two, a lot of these students already know those terms. Now the two things that I think business English teachers need to understand is that first of all, business English revolves around client autonomy, meaning that they generally, they always have the right to say and to dictate more or less how they want classes to go. The second biggest thing and this relates to autonomy, is that teachers need to be incredibly flexible. Now, in most cases, your business students are going to have a strong foundation of speaking English, and a lot of the courses might revolve around conversation, and that's good. But the thing is in this scenario, it's really important that you can really carry on a conversation and focus in on the mistakes that the student makes. When they make a mistake, you want to correct them and you want to explain to them why it is a mistake, and then that's how you might want to base your grammar lessons, on the mistakes that they are making in particular. This works for business English one-on-one or with business English group classes. And I've taught a lot of business English in Spain, mainly in Madrid, and usually the classes aren't more than 8 people. So you really want to focus in on their needs as much as possible. Now back to the autonomy, they might not want conversation. And this usually happens with students who have a lower level of English. They want specific grammar exercises. Now, depending on what country you're in, depending on the culture, depending on the history of their education, meaning how English was taught in their country, say in public schools or privately, they might expect that you mimic that. And then this will boil down to you and make you decide, do you really want to work in this environment? Do you want to teach them the way that they were taught? Because in many cases, as you know, education standards 20, 30 years ago probably weren't the best. And many English teachers will tell you that there isn't really one way to teach a language, and we don't really know about a certain way, a specific way on how to teach a language, and everybody learns differently. So for me, what I do is I usually just give my customers what they want. I do my best to give them exactly what they want. If they want strict grammar lessons, I work with that. If they don't want conversation, then I don't give them conversation. If they do want conversation, then of course I give them conversation courses, and I try to work in grammar, especially if I might be affiliated with an academy that needs to document exactly how the classes have been, and we need to gauge progress, and of course we would use tests that are taken from the material that I use. So along with business English, I specifically work with email writing. There are specific ways we write emails in business in the United States, and for instance in Spain we might use a lot of I call fluffy language or kind language. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for this and this. And in some cases it might be okay, but generally in business English, especially with emails, we want to be straight to the point. And the reason why is because it cuts seconds off the time that it takes for somebody to read our emails. And that's probably the biggest kindness or favor we can do for them, is to save them time. Because at the end of the year, those seconds turn into minutes, the minutes turn into hours, and at the end we're talking, we might be talking about a few $100s that we saved them based on that practice. And if we get 100 people writing English emails efficiently, straight to the point, then we're saving companies a lot of money. And that's really what this is all about when we teach business English. We want to give the business professionals who are learning English an opportunity to expand in their career, and we want to save companies money. And that's what business is all about: making money, saving money, cutting costs. And this is how we do that with English. So that's one thing that I touch on. The next thing that I touch on, and this varies from country to country, is speaking English with confidence. Some students or some language learners have a difficulty putting themselves out there with their language, and it has to do with an issue of confidence. And this is something that I talk about, and I'll be talking more about in another video. The other thing is working with presentations, and this kind of relates to confidence. I talk about how to give presentations in English, the way that we want to use the language, and of course this is specifically based on the type of presentations they're giving. If your students never give presentations, you're not going to talk about it. If your students never write emails, you're not going to talk about it. If all your students talk about is if all your students need English for speaking on the phone, then that's something different. We're not going to talk about emails. We're going to talk about that. And phone conversations, phone conferences. This is the biggest, probably the biggest difficulty. As you know, if you speak a second language, or if you are learning a second language, you know that speaking over the phone is incredibly difficult because it really tests your listening capabilities. And with technology, it's you can never count on it 100%. So yeah, email writing, presentations, speaking with confidence, phone conversations, these are the things that I focus in on. For resources, I might use TED Talks, I might use YouTube videos that pertain to their interest. I've worked specifically with writing business documents, with legal documents for my legal English students. And some students, they want to talk about their favorite cooking recipe. So that's where it goes back to versatility. What can you talk about? What are the things that you can talk about? And on the first day of all my classes, I create a profile of my students. Who are they? Where are they from? What do they study? What do they do? What are their passions in life? Where do they want to go? What are they trying to do? So this is where I go off of, and I maybe they have an interest in something that I'm not familiar with. I go and I research that out because my number one thing is I want to make my customers happy. And as we say in online marketing, and we've said this for many years, I learned this years ago, which was years after the term was starting to be coined. Content is king, and that's true for the internet. That's true for writing books. That's true for our classes. Content is king. The more information we can give to our students, the better. So I hope that helps with giving you an idea on how to approach business English or teaching business English as a second language. Again, I'm Brandon Salo at brandonsalo.com. I appreciate the time that you've taken to watch this video, and if you have any questions, feel free to check out my website to get my email and shoot me an email if you have any questions, or of course, leave comments below. Thank you. Bye.